Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for August the 5th, 2020. Today we're going to talk about how the SNP in Scotland, and some of those in Westminster, are vultures. To start, we're going to talk about the hate crime bill they are trying to pass, which is rather interesting really, because there are elements of it that are eerily familiar to that of what they voted against in 2006 when Labour tried to introduce a hate crime bill. Certain wording and phrasing. The claim is, from the SNP in Scotland, is that this bill will introduce greater clarity, transparency and consistency to Scotland's hate crime legislation, and that it will not stifle journalists' freedoms. But there is a low threshold here. Within it there are key phrases, like abusive or insulting, and likely to, a bit presumptive. In 2006, 6 SNP MPs, including Alex Salmond, Angus Robertson and Pete Wishart, voted to remove similar phrases from the English and Welsh equivalent bill back in 2006. I have a sneaky feeling they're not going to vote against this time around, because feels, yo. Feels. Interestingly to me, most of this bill just looks like a copy-paste of the 2006 edition the UK government tried to introduce, and then they've fobbed it off as if it is some innovation, when, as is the case with the SNP, it is never an innovation. They just want to silence their critics, under the guise of feels. Moving on from that, we should talk about how they've reacted to a front-runner to lead the Tory party. This would be Douglas Ross. The SNP, being the absolute professionals that they are, have decided to pounce on the presumptive potential winner and give him a glittering review akin to that of Yelp by saying long history of racist views, missing key debates for a football jaunt, voting against protecting our NHS, and always siding with Westminster over Scotland. Ah, I see your nationalist is showing. Interesting. It's bad when you're English and nationalist. It's okay when you're Scottish and nationalist. As a response to this, in a column in the Daily Telegraph, Douglas Ross has said, among all the nationalist parties and movements, only the Scots nationalists are given a pass by the respectable and media classes. And this is curious, because Scots nationalism is no different from any other type of nationalism. In fact, it is worse than most. Its sole motivating factor is anti-Englishness. Its leaders will speak well of any country in the world, Cuba, Iran, France, just so long as they can portray the English and the dreaded Westminster in the worst possible light. Of course, they have pulled this off in recent years by portraying themselves as progressive. No right-on cause can appear without the SNP putting its fumbling fat hands around it. From there, the contradictions pile up without consequence. At present, the SNP is an avowedly Green party, whose sole honeypot is North Sea oil. It is pro-diversity party that welcomes people of all creeds and colours, except for the English. Which, to be honest, sums up the SNP to an absolute T. They are vultures, and they are just anti-English cause. Moving on from that, we should now talk about Alex Salmond, because Nicola Sturgeon is now going to testify on the failed case against her former mentor. It is believed that Alex Salmond is going to release a whole bunch of documents pointing to a possible conspiracy against him. He was acquitted of all charges against him in a high court earlier this year. Nicola Sturgeon, though, faces a few issues, because she'll have to testify under oath in a parliamentary inquiry into her administration's flawed internal complaints procedures which then led to the trial. She will also be pressed on whether or not she knew about the complaints made against Alex Salmond from 2007 to 2014 when she served as deputy, and also whether or not she delayed any of it being released or whether or not there was an intention to cause him irreparable career damage. Essentially, it'll come down to ministerial code breaches, which would include meeting Alex Salmond and failing to record the conversations while her government was investigating harassment allegations against him. Yeah, it gets pretty messy, right? But as is the case with the SNP, I fully expect this particular vulture to get out, get free, and live on and prosper. The final SNP-related nonsense we should address concerns Angus Robertson. He was the former SNP MP that led the SNP in Parliament, Westminster Parliament. He lost his seat. Tragic. I felt so bad for him. He has since gone on to now signal his interest and his candidacy for the Edinburgh Central seat that was held by Ruth Davidson, but she is leaving soon to go and do other things. Interestingly, though, he has signalled that a rival should be allowed to join the contest without interference, a fellow SNP member, but that SNP member is an SNP MP called Joanna Cherry. She is a ardent Ramona. However, the SNP National Executive Committee have prohibited her from doing so unless she resigns as an MP first. We cannot have the taint of Englishness in our elections, but that's not the part I want to latch on to, because that to me makes sense. You shouldn't hold on to the privileges of one thing while you try and contest another. It's supposed to be a bit of a gamble, right? No, the part I want to latch on to is the fact that the SNP are okay fielding two candidates. Nothing reeks of electoral fairness more than having a party have two candidates go forward. Right. The SNP believe that they can in fact win this seat from the Conservatives. I wish you the best of luck, and it would be interesting to see Angus Robertson back in politics. He was, after all, before Ian Blackford, the OG paper pervert, but he never touched the paper. So I guess it doesn't make him a paper pervert at all. But he was the more annoying SNP member of the two, which is saying something. My view on this is quite simple. You've got a candidate, go with it. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Angus Robertson is a bit of a cuck in this, in that he is willing to allow another SNP rival contesting a seat that he wants to win as well, Whammon, going so far as to attack the SNP National Executive Committee, cause. I stand by the original title of the video, the SNP Are Vultures, because I think I've proven my point here. Your party is a mess, and you're an embarrassment to your country. With what we have discussed today, I would love to know what you think, so please do let me know in the comments down below.